What is up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Hockeytown University. You are here with us once again, Matt, Zack, and a new one, AP, Alex Peterson. What is up, bro? How are we doing? AP is new to the pod. He's part-timer now that Derek is officially part-time, but we're glad to have him on. What's going on, Alex?
What's going on, fellas? Happy to be here. Happy to talk about the greatest original six team, greatest NHL team in the United States and Canada. And I'm ready to roll. I'm ready to get after it. Talk some news, talk some picks, talk about what's going on around the league and get after it.
Yeah, why don't you? I don't really mean to put you on the spot here, and I can always edit it if I need to. But why don't you tell us a little bit what your plans are to bring to the pod now that you're officially a Hockeytown Universityan? I don't even know how to say it, but go ahead, buddy.
He's a professor.
Yeah, for sure. So I think is the main thing I want to kind of cover, and I reached out to Zack about this. It's just kind of going over some sports picks. And I think once a week I'll probably do a Wings pick, unless it's a really tough game or, something like that. I think I definitely want to include at least one Red Wings pick. But other than that, though, just definitely some other good games around the league where I think, the boys could definitely take a dub. Probably stick to just like puck lines, overs, unders, money lines. Probably not get into parlays just because they're, they're parlays.
They're a lot. Yeah, they're a lot.
But yeah, definitely give you the reason why I'm taking these picks and, some stats behind it. I've actually had two pretty decent seasons of NHL betting. I think it's definitely the sport I'm best at when it comes to betting on. So that's why I was super excited to join the pod and share the picks with the boys and whoever else is listening. And
yeah, bro, sometimes betting makes the games way too intense. I just sit there and I'm anxious half the time. I'm just like, sometimes it takes the fun away from me, but it makes it way more enjoyable sometimes, especially when it's one of your favorite teams like the Red Wings. So I'm excited for your bets. By no means is Alex to us, we think that he is an expert, but Alex is no means an expert. So take your picks that he places, with a grain of salt, but we will definitely be catching back on those every week that he is on to kind of see how those hits, whether if they did or not. And like he said, we're going to have a lot of fun with it. But welcome to have you aboard, Alex. It's going to be a lot of fun having you here, buddy. So we will go into a deep dive with those picks later on in the episode. But Matt, no Derek. Once again, he's working. But how you doing today, buddy? I'm sorry you couldn't make it to the game on Saturday. I don't know if that's something you wanted to share with the world or not, but floor is all yours, buddy. In this case, maybe the can.
Yeah, hi, everybody. Yeah, I was supposed to go to the game, and, while I was cooking, a can of tomatoes and Gravity had, a different opinion. They said, well, things have been too good for you. You're really not supposed to be going to a game and having fun with your boys and everything, but just come in and just ruin your life. And I dropped a can on my foot. It thankfully is not broken or fractured or anything like that. I went to the doctor. They say the joint is just inflamed. So they gave me some steroids. So yep, your boy is juicing. Feels great. I feel stronger already. And we'll just take it one day at a time. Put one foot in front of the other. Haha, pun intended. And hey. I'm back on the pod, not missing any time. So, here we are.
Matt, I will say, rubbing your... Go ahead, Alex. You can go.
Oh, sorry, brother. Matt, I was just going to say, don't worry. We'll, if you need to take some time off, we'll send you those PTO checks. No problem.
Oh, yeah. Those will always cash.
Well, Matt, I really do hate to rub it in your face. You missed one hell of a game. It was electric.
I know.
Inside of Little Caesars Arena, man. I don't think I've ever been to an opening home game for the Detroit Red Wings. I'm definitely going to start doing it more often because that was one hell of a game. It was so much fun, boys. Honestly, probably one of the best games I've ever been to. I've never been to a playoff game, so that's something I'm still looking forward to. Hopefully, I can knock that off my bucket list this year because they're buzzing. The boys are buzzing, boys. So why don't we just kind of jump right into things, shall we? And talk about the previous three games. We're going to dabble into some Red Wings prospects that have been tearing it up, whether if that's been with the Griffins in college or overseas in Sweden. But first, as always, we want to say thank you for stopping by. If you are returning, if you are new, make sure you are hitting that subscribe button somewhere down there and also smashing that thumbs button because it turns the frowns upside down. Right, Matt? Yes. Smiles all around. So, with that being said, why don't we just jump into things? Hockey season's officially underway. Season began last week. Red Wings' first game was actually on Thursday last week against the New Jersey Devils, where they did end up losing 5-4, followed up with a win against Tampa Bay Lightning 6-4, which was the home opener. Amazing game. And then last night on Monday, today is Tuesday, it is almost 7:30 p.m., got a shutout against the Columbus Blue Jackets, and we will deep dive more into that one while talking about the rest of the games as well. But Matt, buddy, this one's for you. So let's go ahead and talk about some prospects to start things off. Let's talk about your boy, 17th overall, Axel Sandin Pellikka. Share with the class.
My God, boys. I mean, have you ever heard of a little guy called Erik Karlsson? Well, if you haven't actually heard of him, allow me to enlighten you. So, he is a guy who plays defense, he plays forward, masquerading as a defenseman, and his, obviously he put up a Norris winning season last year. We might just have our Erik Karlsson on our hands. Oh, and plus, here's a little bonus. He actually plays a little bit of defense, like a little teeny bit. So, yeah, I think it's safe to say at number 17 overall, we got a steal. I do remember that we mentioned him, I think it was last episode, maybe 2 episodes ago, that, like, this kid is just lighting it up. I mean, right now, he's up to 6 points in 10 games in the SHL. No, this is not, like, the junior league over in Sweden. This is, like, the big boy club. This is, like, in terms of Swedish hockey, like, I mean, you could say this is, like, the NHL of the Swedish Hockey League. That's probably accurate, but man, at 18 years old, 4 goals, 2 assists for 6 points. I had to take that we might see him at the end of this year. You called me insane, Zach. I mean, that's totally fine because I am insane, but man, he is just lighting it up over there. He is just a breath of fresh air for this team. I wouldn't be shocked if he's on the team next year out of camp. I really wouldn't. So, yeah, I just wanted to, kind of bring his progress up because I think just with, as you said, we have a hot start in Detroit. We are very much focusing on the big club because the boys are buzzing. They look really good, but hey, let's not lose sight of the kids cooking over in Europe, and also not to mention the AHL in Canada. Like we got some dogs, man. We got some dogs in the system.
No, for sure. And I do know, and I thought it was for the Swedish Hockey League, but it wasn't. It was actually for the Champions Hockey League where he actually scored a goal today. So take that as you will. The kid's on fire, honestly. He really is. Currently, he's on pace for 31 points, 21 goals, 10 assists in 52 games for Skellefteå, AIK in the Swedish Hockey League. So props to him, especially for an 18-year-old. That's really impressive. AP, I'm curious to know about your hockey sense and about the Red Wings prospects and pipeline. What do you know about ASB? Just curious.
Yeah, for sure. So I know a little bit, probably not as much as you guys, but there's one guy in particular. He's a very, very large individual. He plays over in Grand Rapids. His name is Elmer Soderblom. For a guy that is that tall, the way that he can handle a puck, I feel like a lot of the time you have guys that are. I mean, how tall? What is he? 6'5" or something like that?
I think he's 6'8".
Yeah.
6'8".
Yeah, 6'8". To have a guy like that, 6'8", I mean, we're talking like NBA player here. To be able to handle the puck like that and be as aggressive as he is and be so coordinated, I think is pretty wild. I was a little disappointed when, he wasn't coming up this year, but I'm excited to see what he does. And gosh, I'd love to have him on the team.
Yeah, with Elmer, I mean, and you said it too, right? You're absolutely right. His hands are ridiculous. He's able to stand his ground and he's very good with the puck, even when he's being hit by the opposing team. Just really good in that sense, and it definitely helps being 247 pounds, being 6'8". But
Mhm.
yeah, I think with him, he's got a point right now currently. He's got 1 assist in 2 games with the Grand Rapids Griffins. I do think that there will be an instance that we might be able to see him this upcoming season, but it really does all come down to how well he looks in the AHL. I think a couple things that he just needs to work on really is a little bit of speed. And that's got to be hard, right? 247 pounds at 6'8". Like, I don't know how
Of
fast we
course.
expect him to go, but a good comparison would be Tage Thompson, right? How does Tage Thompson do it? Well, Elmer Soderblom needs to get his phone number and ask him a little bit, dude, what are you doing that I need to do? And do this against you when we play against you. But Matt, what's your take on Elmer Soderblom?
Well, I'm definitely right there with you, AP. I really do like Elmer Soderblom a lot. I mean, just the fact that we got this guy, I think it was 2019 or 2020 in the 6th round. I mean, like, come on, like 6th rounders like barely even make it to the AHL, let alone the NHL. And like, you see this guy play, and it's like, oh, this is not just like a guy who's just taller than everybody else, and that's why he's dominating. Like, this guy knows how to move the puck, and he can make really good plays. Like, we saw that in preseason. Obviously, we're seeing that again in the AHL. I personally would love to see him. I do think, however, that I mean, it's really a good problem that you have so many good guys in front of him. Like, Berggren will probably be the first call up when we have an injury. I imagine that Berggren would probably play most of the season. He played 67 games last year, so you got to imagine he's like the first in the pecking order right there. Then you've got guys like, I mean, we have Zarnik up right now, Zack Reese, who we just signed. I would love to see him. I don't think he's far away from being in the NHL. Um, of course, I said everything about his skill. I think with a guy who's that big, I mean, you want to say you want to see the skating improve, but like, dude, the guy is like he's the size of a giraffe. Like, like I couldn't even imagine getting out of bed and walking to the bathroom at 6'8", let alone getting on skates and playing an NHL game. So, he's definitely a long-term project, but if this guy booms, oh boy. Like you said, Zach, we might have our next Tage Thompson.
But yeah, one player that I really want to talk about right now would be Detroit Red Wings 41st overall pick in the 2023 draft is Trey Augustine, goaltender for Michigan
Yes.
State University. He
Mhm.
currently leads all, or not all, but NCAA U22 goaltenders and saves this season. Let's see, he has, I think it's 93 saves with 10 goals against. He is currently sporting a .903 save percentage with 3 goals against in his 4 games played. And he's 18 years old doing this. While the save percentage does not stick out, he's got 3 wins in those 4 games played. So he came in backing up for someone, I believe, based on that number, since it says 4 games played and, but 3 goals against, that's not bad at all. And MSU goes against really good, talented teams as well. So I think that this is a really good start for a young player that we should really be excited about, because I was excited when we drafted him. I thought that this was going to be good competition for Kosa, especially since Kosa kind of goes hot and cold a little bit. But even speaking about Kosa, Matt, you want to talk about that?
Yes, I sure do. So I believe I want to preface this and say I believe that this is his first win in the AHL as a starter.
Yep.
So yeah, I believe it was against the Colorado Eagles. Sorry, this is not fresh in my mind anymore, but
That's
he did
correct.
stop 41 of 43 shots. And dude, I saw some highlights. I mean, unfortunately, AHL highlights are not as easy to come by as NHL highlights, but I did see him perform, and like, man, that dude just uses his size and is so confident right now that a lot of things that are coming his way, they're gonna kind of just get swallowed up by him because he's just so big and athletic. Like, he's he's really got like that poise and that confidence that you were really hoping to see from him this year. And like, I know it's only one game that he's played, but man, if he keeps this up, what a step in the right direction for him. I mean, we saw him at the prospect tournament, Zach, you and I, we were right to have some concerns about him, but you know, after
That's
that
true.
performance, he's for sure bounced back, and I'm excited to see how he does this year. I really am.
Now, this is going to be a tricky question for you to answer, and you both are more than welcome to answer. AP, I'm not sure how familiar you are with Trey Augustine. I mean, he's still relatively new to us, and I've never seen him play. But what does someone like Trey Augustine have to do to outpace someone like Sebastian Cossa? Well, Trey Augustine recently just got drafted, and Cossa's been in the system for what, 3 seasons now? 2 seasons, I believe. I think this is his 3rd season within the pipeline. So what is something that Trey Augustine would need to do, or what is something that Cossa, I guess, ultimately would need to do to not become Detroit's top goaltender? What do they both need to do to become Detroit's top goaltenders?
I mean, that is a very interesting question because obviously these two are in competition for pretty much the exact same job, but I honestly don't really like view it that way just because of the fact that Cossa is 2 years along in his development, and you know, we just got Trey Augustine. I really don't think, unless like Cossa falls off a cliff and Augustine wins like the Hobie Baker or something, I don't think he's gonna outpace Cossa this year, to be completely honest with you. And like, you know, if Cossa falls off a cliff and Augustine looks better, that honestly creates more problems than it really solves, because like you're looking at Cossa and like this should be the main guy, and like Augustine as it stands right now, I would say he's more of like a insurance pick, just in the case that the Cossa project fails, which, you know, fingers crossed it doesn't. I like what I've seen from him. I do hope they both look really good. I mean, when I close my eyes at night and I lay my head on my little pillow and I have my fan going because I like the white noise, I like to dream about a starting tandem of Cossa and Augustine in the next few years. I mean, why not? Let's have both of them make it. So yeah, I really I think it's a hard one to answer. I'd say if you want to put one in front of the other right now, it's hard to put Cossa below Augustine just with what he's done, but yeah, that's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, for sure. It's hard because I'm really not too familiar with Augustine. But I do know obviously Costa's been playing some pretty good net, so it'll be interesting to see. I think definitely within the next few years and even this season, the net is pretty crowded right now with a lot of guys wanting that spot. You know, guys even like Reimer we saw last night. I mean, it was the Columbus Blue Jackets, but he looked good.
He did look good. Yeah.
You know, I think after Ned left, it left us really wondering what was next, and I'm excited to see if Husso can fill that spot. I remember I met Husso actually at the draft party last year.
Oh wow.
Super nice guy. I don't really think he spoke a lot of English, but he was a nice dude, and I just told him you're gonna have a great season. I'm looking forward to watching it. But again, it's gonna be super interesting to see how that plays out.
No, for sure. Yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. I mean, you let go of Nad, you let go of Hellberg, and all you have is Husso. So your big question mark entering the offseason, right, is who's going to be the backup? By no means did we imagine that was going to be Cossa or Trey Augustine, right? I mean, both still need time to develop into the goaltenders of the future. However, like you said, Reimer looked pretty good last night, so there's a good sample, not a good sample size, but that's one sample going into next season, since he's only signed for 1 year. That is this someone that we would want as a backup, or if Cossa can have a good season, can he start working his way up into the lineup, into the opening night roster? We do have Alex Lyon for 2 more years, but you know, you got to beat someone out, right? And so you can't always carry 3 goaltenders in for your season, right, on your roster. And for Trey Augustine, in terms of what he needs to do, in order to pass someone like Kosa. Just continue doing what you're doing. By no means am I saying that it hurt Kosa by staying in the league that he was in. I believe it was the WHL while he was getting drafted. That's not his fault. But I do think Trey Augustine has an edge on him by going into a program in college like MSU and becoming the starting goaltender going against other really good universities, programs, and all that good stuff. So just continue doing what you're doing. And Kosa as well. So props to him for doing that. So, all right, Alex, I think we're going to take a little break, but we will give you the time now to kind of talk about picks and stuff on what's upcoming and what you're kind of seeing around the league and with other sports, if you got some for other sports as well.
Yeah, for sure. So I don't know if you guys are the same way. I feel like every NHL season, at least this one specifically for me, it feels like there's so many fireworks going off. Like it's going to be such an amazing season to watch, and new teams coming out. Having Vegas still being probably number one. I just get goosebumps thinking about it. But I think that I think that every week what I want to do is go through three main picks, kind of like what I was talking about earlier. So tonight, what I'll start with is going to be tomorrow's game, Wednesday, the 18th of October. The Pittsburgh Penguins and Sidney Crosby playing in Detroit. So I'm going to go through why I went with this pick and then give the pick after. So that's kind of the format that I'm going to go with. So,
yeah, buddy.
Obviously, Tristan Jarry has looked incredible so far this season. I think his current save percentage right now is 9.44.
Wow.
I kind of like to look at above 9.14, above 9.18. I think is the sweet spot of guys that are really getting it done. So it's definitely going to be up to Detroit's offense. If they can find a way around Jarry. After shutting out the Capitals, last Friday, the Penguins team is looking pretty tough, especially defensively. So, I do see Husso having a pretty good season this year, like I was talking about earlier. His current save percentage is a 904, so it's not all the way there, but it's still pretty darn good. And then I think, I'm sorry, his current save percentage is an 863, and then last year's was a 904. So with where I see this, I'm going to go with the Wings plus 1.5. I'm going to give the Wings a goal. I think it's going to be a pretty tight game. I think we've been playing some great hockey. But I'm not saying for sure that the Pittsburgh's going to win, but I will give the Wings a goal. I think they're gonna really show out tomorrow night, especially being home. So, second pick is Thursday, October 19th. The Flames take on Tage Thompson and the Buffalo Sabres. I do think the Sabres have something to prove after losing the first two games of the season against New York and Long Island. I think Devon Levy is definitely looking for his first win of the season. And in my opinion, the Flames, they just aren't good. I don't think they're a good team. I think it was just a mistake letting Johnny Hockey go. But they just lost to Washington last night. I don't think the Capitals are that good either, even with Ovechkin. And I think they look pretty sloppy. Watching the last night, I got home pretty late, and I was watching the end of the third and overtime, and then the shutout or the shootout. So for that reason, I'm going to take Buffalo money line. I think giving the Sabres their first win of the season, I think Calgary should be be pretty heavily favored with Markstrom. So I think you'll probably get Buffalo at a discount on that money line. The lines aren't open. I don't think NHL lines open until the day of. But either way, I think I definitely go with Buffalo on Thursday the 19th. outright. Last pick is going to be Friday, October 20th. The New Jersey Devils are in Long Island for primetime hockey. I think it's going to be a pretty fun game to watch. You know, you got the Devils who are good. This Devils team, Jack Hughes, they are a good team. The Islanders, in my opinion, I think are fake good. I think there's a lot of rumors, not really rumors, but a lot of excitement going around the league and, you know, on Long Island about the Islanders. I don't think they're that good. I think they're fake good.
AP, hold on. I know you don't know this, but Matt's family is huge Long Island fans, so Islanders suck, bro.
Yeah. My girlfriend is from Long Island. So,
I'm calling it right now.
Yeah, not going to happen.
Probably not.
But anyway, I think what Jack Hughes is doing, what Timo Meyer's doing, for this hockey club, I'm just saying it right now. You can hold me to it. We're being recorded. I think the New Jersey Devils are headed to the Stanley Cup Finals this year. I think they're going to do it. I think it's going to make Frank the Tank very happy, a very happy man.
Oh yes.
But again, the Islanders are fake good. I see the Devils honestly eating them alive, just like they did in the preseason. And for that reason, I'm taking the New Jersey Devils -1.5. They're going to win by more than 1 goal.
You know what, AP? I'm I'm on the same hype train as you. I really do believe in the New Jersey Devils, and Mac can vouch on this for me that I was actually a believer for them last year in the Stanley Cup Finals. I thought that they were a team that could go all the way with what they added, and unfortunately, they did get a second round bounce. But I'm riding them with you, dude. I really do think that they have a really solid team this year, just all around. Timo Meier just needs to really start shaking out a little bit more. I have him in fantasy hockey in your league, and he's not doing too well for me. So I might have to bench him here eventually if he doesn't start showing up. But yeah, honestly. But yeah, we're Islanders haters on this podcast, minus Matt.
Love it.
Thanks for the 17th overall pick. Thanks for ASP. We really do appreciate that. That is
we
sick.
all know that Lou would have taken a 6'5" center who can't skate and has a decent shot. So you're welcome.
But AP, I don't know if you knew this. I think it was a week ago. It was before the regular season start that they actually did a what do you want to call it? Not a mock series, but a simulation of the playoffs for next season. And they on Chell 24, and they said that it was going to be the Edmonton Oilers versus the New Jersey Devils, and your Devils took it home against the Edmonton Oilers, Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. So how does that make you feel in that sense after what you just said?
I think it's spot on, and I'm going to go out on another whim here and say that, you know, the Oilers last year, I mean, what happened in the playoffs?
Ken Holland effect.
I think Colorado's better. I do. I think Colorado's better than Connor McDavid, and his squad. Connor McDavid, does he even have a chip? Has he ever even won a Stanley Cup final?
No.
Never been to one.
He's never made it.
He's always the first to be picked in fantasy hockey, which, don't get me wrong, do not say that I think Connor McDavid is bad, because he is not. But I'm just saying, I don't know if the Edmonton squad is all there. I really don't. I think if it was a 7-game series Stanley Cup final between New Jersey and Edmonton, I think New Jersey is going to win probably Game 5.
It would. It's tough, right? Because I do think that in a game like that, because both teams are so heavy on the offense, you have to look at it from defense and the goaltending at that point, right? Like, but both teams don't really have the stud goaltenders. Vitek Vanacek, he's trying to get there, right? I mean, but then it comes down to defense, and you look at defense. I do think that New Jersey has a better defense. I do think, though, that losing someone like Damon Severson does set them back a little bit, but you look over at the Edmonton Oilers. I mean, their bottom 6, and then like even their bottom pairing on defense is it's just not there. Even their best defender is Evan Bouchard, and that's nothing against Evan Bouchard, but
I got him on my team, so I'm gonna give him credit.
And you got someone like Darnell Nurse who's getting paid all this money, who really isn't living up to his payday expectation. And then you have players like Matthias Ekholm, who also isn't really doing anything. And so I can see what you're saying, and that would be such an interesting battle that I might just have to simulate it on NHL 24 after this recording just to see how it would go, just like how we did with the Stanley Cup game. It was pretty close to the same score, and I just turned off my mic on myself. That was so funny. I'm going to keep that in the recording. All right, boys. Let's go ahead and jump into our main topics. Let's go ahead and talk about these first 3 games, and I'll just reiterate them. New Jersey Devils winning 5-4. Tampa Bay Lightning Wings win 6-4 in a crazy game. Columbus Blue Jackets Wings win 4-0 in a shutout with Reimer and net, much like AP just mentioned. So, Matt, where do we begin? The boys are buzzing.
Man, yes.
I mean,
the boys are buzzing. 100%.
That honestly might be the best place to start because, like, literally that was the theme of the entire game. Like, I don't think it was ever in danger that they were going to lose that game. Like, for sure, like, in the beginning of that game, like, Columbus brought some pressure, and Reimer, like, he just stood tall to the task. Like, he answered pretty much everything that they had to throw at him. Like, there was a lot of times where he made some saves, and there were, like, some players in front of the net looking to get a juicy rebound in. And I was sitting on the couch like, how did this man just keep that out of the net? Like, it made no sense to me. He was, like, defying the laws of physics to keep the pucks out. So, yeah, really, really good game by him. I have a great stat for you. He is only the 3rd goaltender in Red Wings history to pitch a shutout in his first career start as a Red Wing. Ville Husso did it last year, and some other guy who I've never heard of in the 50s also did it. And James Reimer, baby. He's part of history. So, yeah, really great to see that. If there really is a goaltending battle between him and Lyon, I think it's pretty safe to say he's pulled ahead of Lyon at that point. So, yeah. I really like the only other player that I want to highlight who I was really impressed from, like, obviously Larkin got a goal. He looks back to his old self. DeBrincat stays hot. He's up to 5 points in 3 games. This kid's an absolute animal. Thanks a lot, Ottawa. How's Dominic Kubalik doing? Oh, yeah, not good. That's what we have trade talks. Yeah, that must be rough. But no, the player I really wanted to highlight was Michael Rasmussen, man. That one goal he had where he scored from, like, that impossible angle. Zack, AP, this guy just gets better every single year. He continues to impress me night in and night out. Like, I mean, the ceiling is the limit for him. He is only going up from here. I really do like him. He's rightfully a fan favorite here in Detroit. And, you know, in general, like, nobody really had a bad game. Like, it was just a game that a team should have against a squad like Columbus. Like, we don't know how bad or how good they're going to be. It's very early, but they have not exactly looked much better than last year, even though they have a healthier team. And I mean, the Wings, they stomped them the way they should. That's how a good team plays against a bad team. So a lot of good takeaways from that.
Yeah, no, 100%. I thought last night's game was great. I thought the first period, they didn't look the greatest, obviously. Things started to pick up into the second and the third. But kind of backtracking, kind of touching base on the New Jersey Devils game. I mean, in that game, they looked exactly the same as they did last night, right? They were able to keep the offense rolling. They were playing pretty sound defense. I think what happened in that game, ultimately, I think the penalties called up to them. There were a lot of bad decision-making plays out there, a lot of situations where they got themselves caught. Jack Hughes is just a freak of nature. The kid's a stud. Wayne Gretzky pretty much came out saying he reminds me of me, which says a lot. Jack Hughes,
that's some high praise.
I would love to have a Jack Hughes on my team, and hopefully we do in one of our prospects. But yeah, we can't even really be mad about the loss. Obviously, you don't like to lose, but going up against a team that we literally just said is a Stanley Cup favorite and you lost by 1 goal, it speaks volume, right? Like, it means a lot, and it shows a lot that you guys are here and you listen to what all the haters were saying during the offseason, and you took that and you're riding with that right now. And you came out and showed that alone just in that game and in the Tampa Bay Lightning game where you won 6-4 in your home crowd, in your home arena, in the first game back of the season. Now, we've seen this time and time again, right? Where the Red Wings will win the home opener, or they'll win the first couple games and then they'll have a hot start and then all of a sudden they kind of start trickling down. Well, this year it kind of seems a little different, right? AP, what do you kind of notice a little different from this year's team to last year's team, or just teams in the past with the Red Wings?
Well, it's very simple, and I was actually going to touch on this. I know this is a hockey podcast, a Red Wings podcast, but if we just real briefly take a look at the Detroit Lions, what they're doing, they don't have the best quarterback in the NFL. They don't. Maybe statistically wise, they do, but he's not that good. What they're doing is they're playing with grit and they're playing with heart. And after watching these 3 past games, the Wings play, I think they're playing with that grit. I think Lalone gave a call to Dan Campbell and said, "Hey, what are you guys doing over there that's working?"
Right.
For a team that has been cursed for so long. Not that the Red Wings have been cursed for that long by any means, stretch of imagination.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. But obviously been in a rebuild slump. And I think after watching the shutout last night, beating Tampa Bay, a very, very small loss to New Jersey. I think that very well could have been an overtime loss. I think we're playing with heart. I think we're playing with grit, and it's firing me up. Like you guys are saying, the boys are buzzing.
Boys are buzzing. So, speaking of heart, Matt, what'd you think of the fight? That's the heart that he's talking about, right? You're going out there even when you're winning 4-0 and you're fighting people and you're laying out hits, open ice like that from Klim Kostin. He prefers Klim, not Klim. So I'm going to start doing that properly now. But what do you think about that, Matt?
I think 2 things about that. Number one, we got Klim Kostin for future considerations. So thanks a lot, Edmonton. Sorry, force I have it. The other Canadian team that gets away players for nothing. And also, second of all, let's give the man a lifetime contract, because goddamn, that guy knows how to chuck it. And I never really like to see fights after clean hits. Like, sure, it's one thing if your guy gets ran in the head or something like that. Like, you want to protect your boys out there, but like, it was a clean hit. It was shoulder to like chest. Like, come on, What are we doing here? It's hockey. We don't need to fight after that, but. He answered the bell. He dropped Goodbranson, had a good few hits on him. Not the best fight that I've ever seen, but I mean, it's hard. You'd be hard to say he didn't win it. So, yeah, I really like Kostin. I think he's a great addition to the depth. He's kind of bringing that, score goals, punch you in the mouth kind of thing that we've been missing, just really in the lineup in general. So. I'm excited to see more from him. He's honestly looked really impressive in these last 3 games, like kind of an unsung hero for Detroit.
Yeah, I mean, being a 4th line player, right? Like you got to show your worth to the team, right? If you're at least, I mean, he's hit the post at least once. I know that he ripped one and he hit the post. I believe it was against the New Jersey Devils. If I'm wrong, someone can let me know in the comments. But
I think it was the Devils.
Yeah, and so being a 4th line player, you got to show your worth, right? And so I think that this was a good example. Granted, like I said, it was against a Columbus Blue Jackets team that was already down pretty low. You got to answer the bell though. So and he did a really good job, and he did win that fight for sure. He definitely got a couple clean knocks in there. I actually want to backtrack though. I kind of want to continue, not so much Michael Rasmussen, but I believe it was you who brought it up, Matt, but let's talk about that second line, right? Because there was a couple of changes that they made, and the second line ended up becoming Rasmussen, Kopp, and Comfer. Comfer not being the 3rd line center anymore, and Joe Veleno, who I want to talk about next, getting bumped up in those duties, who looks good. Looks pretty good. But let's talk about that second line. What do you guys think about that second line? Is that something that you can foresee sticking around? Because we're noticing the first line is clicking, right? It's DeBrincat, Larkin, and Reimer. That's a good line, right? I mean, between the 3 of them, they already have, 10 points. 10 points in 3 games together, which is nuts. So what do you think about that second line, Matt?
Man, so with so many players who are new being on this roster, and Derek Lalonde isn't exactly new anymore. He already has a season under his belt with the Red Wings, but it's early in the season. I understand you want to do some line jumbling, but I think you need to keep this line together for I don't know, maybe the next 3 or 4 games. See how they do. I mean, if it works, hey, don't break it if it isn't
Right.
broken. Like it looks really good. I'd say I'm a little surprised that we have Comfer on the wing. I didn't think we'd sign him as a winger, to be completely honest with you. But I mean, you could always change out Cop for Comfer the other way around. Doesn't really matter. You have a lot of flexibility with all these players. Like they're not used. They are used to playing a lot of roles. They've done it before on different teams. So I do really like it. I love Rasmussen in the top 6. I did say to you, Zach, don't be surprised if we see him on the top line. I think at this point I'm going to have to eat those words because I don't think I want to see him on the top line the way our DeBrincat, Larkin, Raymond line is rolling. So, we'll keep him on the second line. I mean, hey, he got a goal. He looked good. Let's keep it rolling.
Yeah, he was one of the goal scorers in that game last night, and he kind of drove to the net, kind of got a little rebound, and was able to just kind of lift up the puck and score and let one in. So yeah, it was good to see, and I said this right. I think I can't remember if I said that he was if I wanted him on the top line or I thought that he was a top 6 player. I at least know that I said that at the bare minimum, and so this is exactly what I was talking about, right? Is that Michael Rasmussen can be a top 6 player, right? And he proved that kind of last night. And granted, much like AP said, it is against a Columbus Blue Jackets team, which will probably most likely be a bottom 5 team in the league, right? When it's all said and done. But the skill is there, and we've seen that, and it's been showing since middle of last season. And he's continuing to push his way through. And it's one of the brightnesses that we got to receive from Ken Holland before he left. And I don't want to go into that rabbit hole of naming off all those players that we've lost due to Ken Holland not knowing how to draft properly. But no, Rasmussen definitely is a bright spot on this team. I'm really happy about it. I was a little confused as well as you were, Matt, about Comfort being over on the wing, but I like it a lot. But nowhere did any one of us actually think that Cop would still end up being the 2C. Cop looks good. He looks better, obviously, than he did last season. He's got 2 points in 3 games. He's got a goal and assist. Hopefully the momentum carries on with him. But I think with him having, someone as big and scary and kind of forechecks like Rasmussen, and then you have Comfer, who's a two-way forward, but who can also shoot the puck, and then Cop being a two-way forward himself, I think that that's a great line. That's kind of almost like a shutdown line, right? And a lot of teams, they'll put those as like their 3rd or 4th line. Not this Detroit Red Wings team. That's our 2nd line. Then you look at the 3rd line, and you got, who is it? I think it's David Perron, Joe Veleno, and Daniel Sprong. So you got David Perron, who can hold the puck very well along the boards. You got Joe Veleno, your two-way forward. And then you got Daniel Sprong, who just rips him, which going into Joe Veleno, that pass to Shane Ghostbear and that rip by Shane Ghostbear, fucking insane. Like, that was one of the cleanest shots I have seen in a long time. And I think it was Mickey Redmond last night. He kind of makes a joke, and he's like, I don't remember the last time number 41 on the Red Wings has scored on the forehand. We're used to Glenn Denning scoring those on the backhand. And I'm like, oh, geez, I completely forgot that Glenn Denning was even wearing number 41 on this team, what seems like 3 years ago now, and he's playing with Tampa Bay. Good looks to him. But what do you think of Joe Veleno so far, Matt? Is he kind of outpacing what we expected him to do, or is it still kind of too early to know? And AP, this question will go over to you as well. I want to hear both of your thoughts.
I have only one hope for Joe Veleno this year, and I want him to have the season that Michael Rasmussen had last year. I want this man to break out so badly. I think he will. He's on a very, very cheap deal. I kind of think that puts a little bit of a chip on his shoulder, and he says, well, you know what? I see what you guys think of me. You don't think I'm worth all that much, but I'm just going to say, fuck it. I'm just going to play my game, and I'm going to earn me a big payday. I really hope that's going to happen for Veleno. I've been saying it for years, Zach. This guy is due for a breakout. You just see all the tools that he has. He is just such a gifted, like, skilled player that for one reason or another, maybe it's him being locked down on the fourth line that kind of stumps his growth a little bit. But man, I hope he just kicks the doors down and has a 30-40 point season this year. I would absolutely love that for him. That would be amazing to me.
Yeah, I would love nothing more than that, and I'm sure AP would too. And I think with Veleno, I think his vision definitely has improved a lot. I mean, he put that on a silver platter for Shane Gosper to just rip that. And I've definitely seen a couple other instances where he just knows where to put the puck a little bit better, and his skating seems to have improved a lot. But AP, what's your take on Joe Veleno?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously the guy plays a super well-oiled game. I think he is. I think he could be a little scrappy, but I think he's really tight. And I think, to kind of bounce off what Matt was saying, with that chip on his shoulder of having a pretty cheap deal with Detroit, being on that fourth line, I think that it's going to give him that kind of, digging for gold mentality, the gold being maybe third or, second line. And I think he obviously really, really wants it, but it's going to be interesting to see if he can.
But he's got to prove that he deserves it. And by doing that is you have to start outpacing who's in front of you, right? Players like Hop, players like Comfer, hopefully players like Rasmussen. I mean, you got to start putting yourself digging for gold, much like you said, AP. You got to start doing that. And the way that you start digging for gold is by putting the pucks in the net or dishing them to people who are putting the pucks into the net. And so far, he's doing a pretty good job of that. He's only got one assist, but that was a great first assist to the season. So hopefully he continues that.
Yep.
Hey, but I also tell you what, Zach, I mean, you talk about Cop and Comfer, like,
Correct.
Don't forget, like, you got to outpace the guys gunning for your job, like Casper and Danielson. Those guys are waiting in the wings, and, I mean, You're dead wrong if you don't think they're jumping in every opportunity to take that 3C, that 4C role, so Veleno's got to look at these guys and be like, oh, are you guys really good? Oh, does Yzerman want you guys to play center? I don't care. I'm better than you. I will play center. You guys will leave. You guys will eat the scraps that I leave.
I know that we talked a lot about forwards. We really didn't touch on the defense other than, I guess, Shane Gosper's goal, which we really didn't talk about. But are we surprised by how the defense has looked so far? Are we surprised by how the rotation is starting to work? I know Petrie sat out last night. Oli Mata didn't start the first game of the season. They went 7D against Tampa Bay. Sider, Wallman continue to look phenomenal. I'm not really worried about them. But what are we seeing with the bottom two pairings? And what are we nervous? Are we okay with what we're seeing so far, or is there improvements obviously still there to be made? And who's eventually going to be the odd man out as the season prolongs here?
Well, first things first, we got to tighten up the ship a little bit on the penalty kill. It needs some work for sure. Last night it looked great, but again, it was Columbus. What I'll say about that is that the PK does need some work. I think obviously our power play could too, but we're not talking about that right now. But yeah, the short man or the shorthanded defense definitely needs some help.
Man, I mean, you look at this bottom four and the way like each individual has played over the course of 3 games. It's hard not to look at Petrie and say, staple your ass to the bench, man. Like, he's looked rough. He had some bad penalties in the Jersey game, man. And, we've only got him for 2 years. I don't remember how much he's making, but it's not that much money. Like, it's not the end of the world if you have to have this guy scratched and in favor of Everton coming up. Like, you got Gostisbehere who can play both sides. I would love to put Everton with Gostisbehere. I think that would be a really good pairing. I think he's a really good defenseman that Edvinsson can learn from and kind of like grow his offensive game a little bit, because we know he has some good defensive game. Like, we've seen that. So I don't really hate that idea, but even like, I don't want to just, pick on Petrie the whole time because, like, we have Hall and Sherratt on our defense. Like, Petrie's not going to be the only guy doing stupid things. Like, I don't really feel like anyone's job is safe in this bottom four. Like, of course, you have Edmondson that I just mentioned, but, like, we've got Wallander also in Grand Rapids who, I mean, sure, he's not as far along as Edmondson. He's not, like, as hyped of a prospect, so to speak, but this kid, don't be surprised if he's going to make some noise next year coming out of camp. Like, he's looked really good. So yeah, I don't really think this bottom four is going to be bad per se. I just hope that they can go out there and just be boring. I just hope they can play some shutdown defense. You want to chip in some assists every once in a while? Fine. You want to score a goal every once in a while? Be my guest. Just please, no bad penalties, no blown coverage. Just be reliable and be boring.
Yeah, for me, and I think that's what I'm most worried about this bottom four is an age factor, right? I guess you can say. I mean, not saying that outside of Petrie, they're really not that old, but yeah, Petrie does not make or hasn't made the smartest decisions on the ice within this first 2 games as a Detroit Red Wing. Hopefully that can kind of turn around, but I would easily say that currently he is the odd man out. He is the 7th defenseman. Hall has actually been a bright spot for me. I think he's been better than what Toronto fans have actually advertised. That's what happens when you don't put someone on the top pairing and expect him to be automatically a 25-minute crunching defenseman. So thanks, Toronto. We appreciate that. Hopefully the contract really doesn't come bite us on the butt because, yes, it is for another 2 seasons after this one. But Ben Sherratt's been decent, actually. He's looked pretty good so far, too.
Didn't think you'd say that, did you?
You know what? It's only been 3 games in the season, so we'll just wait and see, boys, honestly. So there's still time to impress me of how bad he can be. So I won't be shocked if he can do that. So Ole Mata, yeah, he was the one who sat out the first game. I don't really understand why. I thought he's looked fine. Looks exactly the same as he has since last season. And then Ghost Bear, he just looks really good on the top power play unit. Defensively, seems fine. His shot is fucking outrageous. I'm so happy that we have him here.
Mm-hmm.
I would not be upset if we signed him to an extension. For how long? I really don't know. But that is someone that we would be interested in keeping, but not long term. Probably just for at max another 2 years, kind of like how we did with Ole Mata. So yeah, poor Jeff Petrie. Really excited to come here, but
Petrie's problem is the reason he's lashing out and having all these bad penalties is because his dad is still yapping about Miggy's last game, and he's not talking about his new spot on the wings.
Exactly right.
Oh man, I can see that. Hey, that could be exactly
why.
Disrespect.
No disrespect. I love Miggy. I love Petrie.
Hey, Petrie, if you're listening or watching us, no disrespect whatsoever.
We love you, bro.
But please play better.
Yeah, please. We would appreciate that. We'll need you in case of an injury comes to happen. Worst case, then we just call up your boy Simon Edmondson, like Matty Ice here is saying. But boys, honestly, I think that's it. I think we're pretty good. So, AP, what we typically like to do here is we like to let everyone have their final thoughts before I close us off on this episode and kind of let everyone know what to expect for the next episode and the games that we will be talking about in the next episode that are upcoming. So, AP, why don't you go ahead and tell us your final thoughts for today's episode? It could be about anything. Just go ahead. Floor is yours.
Yeah, for sure. So just to reiterate the picks, we have Detroit plus 1.5, Buffalo money line, and the New Jersey Devils minus 1.5. Hold me to it. I can take all the heat. If none of them hit, if they all hit, I expect praise. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, other than that, I mean, I'm just super excited for hockey season.
Yes, sir.
I'm super excited for the Wings. Like I said earlier, I do think that they're playing with a lot more grit. They're playing with a lot more heart than I've seen, at least.
Yeah.
especially compared to last year. Yeah, I'm just excited. I'm hoping that, if we can sniff the playoffs, that we can do well in the playoffs. And hopefully Dylan Larkin gets his 100-point season. Right, Matt?
I'm here
Yes,
for it.
sir. Yes, sir. Those are your final thoughts, AP?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, Matt. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I do have some final thoughts, but first I want to lead off, since this is kind of like our inaugural betting episode. I think it might be a fun idea. We've been talking a lot about the New Jersey Devils in specific, about Stanley Cup favorites. We're all kind of riding with them. I think it would be a really fun idea if we all right now pick a future that we want to bet on for the Stanley Cup final. So I'll go first with it. You boys are not really going to like my answer. And honestly, after I say it, I might have to go puke in my trash can. But Colorado looks really good. I think I might have to put a future on them. They look really, really dangerous.
All right.
Even without Landeskog?
Yes, dude. They don't need Landeskog, bro. They got Rantanen. They got McKinnon. Georgiev looks really good. Of course, they have Makar, Teus. I mean, I could go on and on. They look really, really good. I mean, if I didn't despise that team, I'd hitch my wagon to them. But, I'll throw some money on them. I think they could do it this year. Like, last year was honestly kind of a fluke against Seattle. I don't think anyone saw Seattle coming in and making as much noise as they did. But I'm going to ride with Colorado this year. I'm going to put a future on them.
Yeah, we don't bet with emotion, Matt, right? It's all about the money.
Exactly. There you go.
So we hate to watch them win the Stanley Cup again, but
I like to watch me win money, though. So
for the money,
yes,
it's worth it.
Yeah. There you go.
I guess. Yeah, you can go, AP. Do you have yours?
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Like we were talking about earlier, the Devils. I think the Devils will win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I don't want to piggyback off AP, but if I had to pick a second team. So we're picking futures for Stanley Cup winners, not just
like the winner, like for all the marbles.
Devils have got to be top 3 favorite. They've got to be. They're probably like plus 1,200 or something.
Yeah.
I'll go, I guess, as much as I hate to say it, I guess Toronto. They did a lot in the offseason, honestly. Right. I mean, their defense still looks bad. Goaltending really hasn't improved that much, but one of these years has to be their year, right? That's the running joke. This year's our year. Well, I'm going to be that joke. This year is their year. I'll take that would be my second choice. Maybe other than that, it would probably be Edmonton Oilers, but yeah, we'll wait and see. These GMs of these teams that are offense heavy, they don't know how to fix the rest of their teams. So, Matt, you wanted to continue. That's not your final thought. So,
well, I do have one more. I promise this is the last one. Yeah, I promise this is the last one. I don't know. I just think it'll be fun. I love doing futures. Like last year, I literally bet like the Florida Panthers were down 3-1 to the Bruins. I think I said it to you and Derek, Zack. I was like, should I just throw $20 on them and see what happens? Well, long story short, they made the Cup final. Of course, they didn't win it, but man, that would have been one hell of a payday. But yeah, I love doing futures. I think another one that'd be fun. Let's do some Calder futures. Who we think it's going to win the Calder this year? It's going to be it's probably an obvious choice, I would say, but I personally am going to go with someone you probably would not expect. I think my boy in Arizona, Logan Cooley, is going to win Rookie of the Year. I'm going to put some money on him as a future. This kid is absolutely nasty. He's up to 2 points in 3 games. I think that's matched with Bedard. So, it's a close race, but I'm going to put my money on him.
Not really surprised. I feel like you've talked about him quite a few times, but he's a sick player. Honestly, I think he could do it. I think that if obviously my pick is going to be Connor Bedard. Pretty sure he's a point per game, if not already over a point per game player. So I'm going to pick Connor Bedard. AP, you can obviously piggyback off that because I don't know who else you would really pick. Honestly, if it was before the season, I would have had half a mind to put Adam Fantilli only because you have good players on the Columbus Blue Jackets, right? Like you have Johnny Gaudreau, Ham and Cheese, Johnny Hockey. right? That player. He's got multiple nicknames. You got Patrick Laine, who's now playing center. You can let Fantilli learn off the wing, you know? And so I thought that would be great. But I do know that they have a lot of really young players on their team, like David Jiricek over there on defense. And I don't think that their goaltending is really obviously the greatest because they just lost 4-0. So yeah. I'll go Connor Bedard. AP?
Honestly, I was going to go Bedard. Like, that was so easy for me. And I mean, he kind of has to. I mean, it's the storyline of the NHL, right? If they say the NFL, they write the script. Then, the NHL and Bettman probably do too. So if I had to put money on it, it's going towards Bedard, 100%.
All right.
Yeah, honestly, I do foresee some fuckery. Like, let's just say for a second that maybe not even Logan Cooley. Let's say someone else comes out of nowhere and puts up more points than Bedard. I think Bedard simply just being Bedard will probably win him the Calder. Like, let's be completely honest. Like, we've seen it in Chicago games where someone scores a goal, Bedard's not even on the ice, and they go to him on the bench for his reaction. And, of course, his reaction is this. That's his reaction because he's a hockey player and he shows no emotion. But it's a little insane. But, yeah, I mean, I haven't really looked at the Calder odds in a while, but I do know that Bedard has to be the favorite. And I think he's minus like 150 or something. I don't even know what he is. Like, he's for sure the odds-on favorite. But I don't know. I like going against the grain. I like throwing in a name just to be interesting. We had it happen 2 years ago when Seider won Rookie of the Year. Nobody said it was going to be him before the season started. Look at that, he won. So, just little future bets to get the ball rolling here in the new season.
Are those your final thoughts now?
Yes.
All right. Well, my final thoughts are Matt's final thoughts are always the longest. AP, we're glad to have you on here. Matt knows I'm just joking around with him every single time. But no, good stuff, boys. Alex, welcome to the pod. We're happy to have you on here with your sports takes and everything. Looking forward to the future and what the pod holds. Go Red Wings. Boys are buzzing. I'm hopping on the bandwagon train that we are going to make the playoffs. I don't think I'm going to ever jump off of it. I really do think that this team is different, much like AP said. Matt even as well. Derek, if he was here, he would just agree with us because he's just that kind of person. But anyways, yeah, go Red Wings. Let's close off, boys. Before we do, to announce the next games, yes, the Red Wings do play the Pittsburgh Penguins, like AP said, tomorrow on Wednesday at 7:30 p.m., then play against the Ottawa Senators in Ottawa Saturday. Yeah, let's not have a repeat of what happened last season. Let's actually go into their arena and kick their asses. So give it to them, boys. Real good.
Take their lunch money.
Yep, take their lunch money. All right, boys. Let's go ahead and close off. We want to thank you all for joining us once again on this episode of Hockeytown University. If you guys are new, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for joining us. We really do appreciate it. But we would appreciate it more if you did hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button, and if you are on Spotify, hit that follow button, rate us 5 stars. Gets us around more. Like the dirty girl. I'm probably going to have to take that part out. I shouldn't have said that.
I don't know where you were going with that one.
All right, until next time, everyone, we really do appreciate y'all stopping by. We'll see y'all on the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Adios.